Oh, when the Saints go marching out, Chelsea put 4 past Southampton and emerged 4-1 winners. Let's get into it.
And blue is the colour. Essien! Drogba! Lampard! That could be the
Greetings! Welcome back to Couch Critic, Dennis P, live and direct, Musing Chelsea Football Club. Now before I get into that Southampton Chelsea review, could you please do me a big favor and hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that bell notification button to keep up with the latest and the newest. Okay, so Chelsea traveled up to St. Mary's and emerged 4-1 winners. Goal scorers Tammy Abraham, Mason Mount, beginning to sound like a broken record right now with those two. Danny Ings made it 2-1, then we saw N'Golo Kante with a cracking goal. And finally, a cameo by Michy Batshuayi, and we get 4. For this particular match review, I'm going to be focusing on a couple different things, but I'm going to start with the form of Willian and Alonso and how they've been kicking on since they've been introduced into the starting 11. And then I'm going to touch on Chelsea's play down the flanks and how that's becoming or developing into an area that is becoming very hard for the opposition to defend. And then I'm going to touch on communication and why it's important to have strong communication when you're trying to play out from the back. Now, if you were to ask me, I'd tell you that Chelsea didn't start the game very well in the first 15 to 20 minutes. We were very poor at establishing a pattern of play and a rhythm to our attack. We were pressing up the pitch, but not putting enough pressure on the ball to produce turnovers. And when we did get the ball back, we were very sloppy in possession and usually gifted it right back to Southampton. Now, for me, this started to change once we started to work the flanks a little bit more, and in particular, get the ball to the feet of Willian. For those who know me, you would know that I'm not necessarily Willian's biggest backer in terms of how I like to see the game played. I think that he dwells on the ball a bit too much and is a little bit too ponderous in the final third. But I have absolutely no problem in acknowledging when he's been good. And the last 3 to 4 games, he's been excellent. One of our best wingers, one of our best players in general. And a lot of it is just on the fact that he's being a lot more direct in his attacking moves. When he gets it, he's moving it very quickly up the pitch. And he's beating men, and he's finding the right ball to play into dangerous areas as well. Now, we'll all remember the assist to Mount for the second and how he just killed it so beautifully and just basically laid it right into his path, and Mount had all the time in the world to finish that. But there are other instances throughout the match where he delivered the same sort of quality and was robbed of the end product. I remember one instance in particular where he dribbles past 2 or 3 guys, lays a beautiful ball right into the path of Callum Hudson-Odoi. He's in 1v1 with the keeper and unfortunately could not score. These instances are starting to become a lot more prevalent with his game, especially within the last 3 or 4 games, hallmarks of his game that go along with his work rate. And if this sort of application continues to be part of his game going forward, it's going to be very difficult to displace him into the side. When you get the defensive side of the game from him, his work rate, and then you couple that with the goals he's been scoring lately, the key passes, and of course the assists as well, he's becoming an indispensable member in the squad now and a guy that we have to see week in, week out. As long as this form continues, I have no problem with seeing Willian start match after match after match. He's been fantastic. All we need to see is consistency. Consistency from one of our veterans. Guy's been with the squad since 2013, I believe. And as long as we see the consistency week in, week out from him, and he sets that good example for some of our younger players, there's no reason why he shouldn't be a mainstay in the starting 11. These last 2 games in particular, the one against Lille and the one against Southampton, it was Willian that has been the spark plug for the team. Now, since he's been reintroduced into the starting 11, I have to say that Marcos Alonso hasn't played a foot wrong, whether it be in the back 4 or in a back 3 with him as a wing back. He's quietly been very, very effective for Chelsea in all phases of the game. I'd say defensively, he's been very good. He hasn't been caught out. He hasn't been dribbled past and outpaced for the ball. And in the offensive phase of the game, he's been very good at providing us with an overlapping run. He's been very good at providing us with width out wide and whatnot, and he's putting in telling balls. He's got box presence when it's required. These are the things that we generally associate with Marcos Alonso's game. It was always the defensive aspect or the transition from offense to defense that always left something to be desired in Marcos Alonso's game. But for whatever reason, under Frank Lampard, that part of his game has been snuffed out. They've figured out how to work around it. And I think it has a lot to do with Fikayo Tomori on the left as a left-sided defender. He's very good at closing spaces. He's very quick, obviously, and he's very good at winning the ball back. So in instances where Marcos Alonso would have been caught out in the past, we have a rock on the left side of that defense who's very quick and very good at reading the game and breaking up plays. in for Kyle Tomori, and it's leaving us less exposed on that particular flank and giving a lot more freedom to Marcos Alonso to get up the pitch and be more of an influence in the final third where he's most dangerous. Overall, it's the return to form of the flank that has given Chelsea the biggest lift. When you look at the return to form of Alonso, Willian, Callum Hudson-Odoi coming back into the squad and looking fantastic in the minutes that he's been given. Pulisic coming on and making an impact immediately as a substitute. You look at Azpilicueta starting to find his game again and being an influence on that right flank. Reece James looking like he's going to be a guy that's going to help us on the flank as well. Teams are finding it increasingly harder to cope. Let's face it, Chelsea are playing a 4-1-4-1 right now with Jorginho at the base, Callum Hudson-Odoi out left with the freedom to roam inside and be more of an inside forward. You have Mason Mount playing the number 8, more of an attacking number 8, the Frank Lampard role if you want. You have N'Golo Kante in that box-to-box Michael Essien role with presence in the box as well. You have Willian playing the number 10 role from the right with the freedom to roam anywhere in the attacking third and stitch together attacking moves. And that mixed in with the play that we're getting from our fullbacks right now, whether it be Alonso or Azpilicueta, you're starting to see that Chelsea have a lot of bodies pushed forward and they're getting a lot of box presence to attack. When you have Callum Hudson-Odoi outside and he's cutting in to link with Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham, it leaves the right-sided defender with a decision to make, whether or not he wants to engage with Callum Hudson-Odoi and stay a little bit more narrow, or whether or not he wants to go out to the flank and engage with Marcos Alonso, who's providing that overlapping run and is a threat from the cross. And we saw this play out time and time again where the right fullback had to make a decision as to whether or not he wanted to stick close to Callum Hudson-Odoi as he's cutting in, or whether or not he was going to engage with Marcos Alonso on the flank. And as a result, Marcos Alonso had acres of space to run into with the space provided by Callum Hudson-Odoi, and he used it to incredible effect. He didn't have a goal or he didn't assist or whatnot, but he definitely gave the defense more to think about, and it also gave us a lot more box presence when you have Callum Hudson-Odoi, Mount, you have Jorginho attacking the box, you have Kante attacking the box, you have Willian attacking the box, you have obviously Tammy Abraham attacking the box, and all of them very far up the pitch and putting a lot of pressure on the defense. It's not a scenario I want to see play out every week because I feel as though we've left ourselves very exposed at the back, and better teams would definitely take advantage of that and catch us on the counter with numbers and break with pace. But I appreciate the bravery that Frank is exuding and demonstrating to just go for it, look for the win, get the goals, and it's proving to be successful, but it's definitely not something I want to see every week. Now, there were a few instances on the weekend where Chelsea needlessly invited pressure onto themselves with an errant pass there, or a needless touch under duress over here, or failure to recognize where to break the press, the soft spots in the press, and where to break it. And a lot of that comes down to communication of the back four between the goaltender, the center backs, and the fullbacks. But more specifically, there seems to be a lack of communication between our goalkeeper Kepa and our center backs. And also a lack of a vocal leader in that department as well. Somebody who's basically orchestrating things from deep and relieving pressure. Just somebody with the presence of mind to be a vocal leader in that department and recognize where the pressure's coming from and give instructions as to where we need to go to relieve it. We're not seeing that from Zuma right now. We're not seeing that for Kyle Tomori as well. And we're definitely not seeing that from Kepa. As a result, we're giving the ball away in dangerous areas. Or the flip side is we're just hoofing it out of bounds. Like a lot of the times, Kepa doesn't have the outlet, so he'll try and outlet it to our more advanced fullbacks. And on the weekend, we saw more than a few occasions where it just sailed out of bounds, with Alonso unable to bring it under control. There have been a few occasions as well where we distributed out to our center backs, and once it comes to Zuma or whatever, he just hoof it out of bounds because he's just uncomfortable under pressure. And until we get somebody in the back who's a better communicator, somebody who's more of a vocal leader, I think we're going to have that problem persist as long as we still want to play out from the back. We got Man City coming up in a couple weeks, and they're very good at pressing high up the pitch and applying pressure. And until we see somebody that is comfortable on the ball to relieve pressure, and also a vocal leader in that department, and also a very good communicator, we're going to have problems against teams of that sort. But I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Chelsea go up to St. Mary's and emerge 4-1 winners. And I must say it was a fantastic showing. We didn't start very well. First 15 to 20 minutes, I thought we started really slow, weren't pressing very effectively, and we're giving away the ball a fair bit, and just didn't really have any rhythm to our play. But as we grew into the match, I thought that we showed that our quality, our pace, our technique. Willian, of course, my man of the match, once again, displaying unbelievable technique and unbelievable drive to get forward into dangerous areas. And we saw some good cameos as well. We saw Christian Pulisic come on and play a beautiful ball into Michi for the fourth. And, we're starting to see that we have more than just that starting 11. There's a few things on that bench right now that could really influence the match. And, Christian Pulisic, Mitch Batshuayi, we got Reece James on the bench, and we still have the return of Emerson. We still have the return of Ruben Loftus-Cheek as well. Kovacic coming off the bench as well and doing a good job. And all these things are leading to more of a cohesive squad. We're seeing that we're able to adapt styles. We're able to take on different shapes and be effective at them. We saw Chelsea play with 5 at the back or 3 at the back, however you want to call it. We saw Chelsea play with a 4-1-4-1, 4-3-3, the diamond, and we're effective in a lot of these different shapes. And it's a credit to Frank, the hard work that he's doing on the pitch, off the pitch in the training sessions, and also to the squad for being very adaptive and able to, take on these different ideas that have been thrown at them at like an alarming rate. And yeah, long may that continue. We got the international break now. I know, again, it's unbelievable. Seems like as soon as we start to hit our stride, we have another hiccup and we can't continue on. But after the international break, we do have Newcastle, and it's going to be at Stamford Bridge, so we definitely need to get 3 points out from that. And we might see the return to fitness of Emerson as well, and of course the emerging return to fitness of the man, the myth, the legend, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. But I think I'm going to wrap it up there. Until then, keep the blue flag flying high and up the chest.